Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. Happy Friday. The week is over with. The month of May is over with as far as trading Bitcoin miners is concerned. How did the miners do? Well, we'll take a look at that. They actually, most of them did outperform Bitcoin, so that's at least a plus there. We're starting to see maybe a little bit of a pickup in the miners than we have in the past year at least. We'll take a look at it. Not much as far as news stories today. We do have just, I think, one news story, which is going to be on Texas possibly passing the SBR here. It's going to the governor's desk to get for signing. We'll talk about that. Talk about also the HPC AI potential for the miners, right? We're not seeing any deals being signed here recently. There is a deal that CoreWeave is signing with somebody else. We'll talk about it as well. And we'll get into Q&A. That should be pretty easy here. So last stream of the month, I guess you could say. But let's get into it here, what we got. And as always, you guys know the drill, not financial advice. Return only do your own research. Full disclosure below that. There is a poll running right now in the chat. Has Bitcoin hit a double top? Is that over? Are we done with? I personally don't think so, and it looks like 50. It's right now split 50-50. So let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin here on, well, that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Hold on a second. Let me move my windows around. Okay. There we go. We're back. Sorry about that. Let's see. I was looking at Griffin earlier on. Let's go to Bitcoin here really quick. Bitcoin did come down well, it came down on today, Friday, and came down a little bit more on the new day for Saturday. In last night's stream, I talked about where Bitcoin could possibly go down to, and I said around 104,000, and sure enough, it came down to that. Based on what we saw here, it's down a little bit more now in the new day, but we did go down another 1.46%. We closed at 104,033 cents for Friday. We're down right now to 103,784. We'll see if we bottomed out over here. There is quite a bit of support here that we've seen in the past here, right around this line. So we'll see if it bounces off of it. 4-hour chart looks like it's getting close to the low on the RSI. So that's maybe a good sign there. We'll see if it bounces. The RSI on the 1-hour chart has gotten below the 30 line here multiple times here and still continue to go down even lower. So waiting for that to change where we have the RSI. Same spot, but price is actually higher. That hasn't happened yet. On the 15-minute chart, let's see if that's happened here yet. No, we can still see the RSI getting lower, or the RSI being this relatively in the same spot, but Bitcoin price being lower. So we still need to see that change happening there on that as well. Okay, so that's Bitcoin basically. Bitcoin did finish out the month up a little bit. We'll take a look at the numbers here in a second for that, along with the miners. What did they do there? But the miners were down today. Bitfarms was down another 1.61%. It's now at 92 cents again. It was down actually quite a. Let's see, where was it? Daily. Let's go to the daily. So it's down below $100. Wow, it's down below 100. Yeah, it's down below 100 cents or $1 basically is what I'm trying to say. Again, for another period of time, we'll see how long it lasts under there. BitDeer was down 10% today. Not sure what's going on there. Maybe some shorting going on. Who knows what's going on there? Cypher was down 4%. Cleanspark was down 1.71%. CORZ was down just a little bit here, 0.37%. Hive was down 0.55%. Hot 8 was down 0.72%. IREN was down 2.4%. Mara was down 3.3%. Riot was down 1.3%. And Wolf was down 3% as well. MicroStrategy was down a little bit. Galaxy was down quite a bit, 7.87%. That one's definitely come off the top here. How far has that one come down? It's had a nice run up here ever since it got reported that they are working with CoreWeave, but it's down about 30% there in the last, 2 weeks roughly. Who else do we have? Everybody else was kind of down as well. Small miners were down for the most part, except for Argo was up today. It was, quite volatile yesterday, so I think that's just the result of that happening. And then the ETFs for Bitcoin miners were down as well. So it was a down day. We've had a down week pretty much on the Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin as all of that stuff is concerned. But did we get Bitcoin a double top? I honestly don't believe so. Right, we had a 109,000 back here. This was basically, if we were thinking that way, we probably would have thought we had a double top here, where we got to Bitcoin, what was this, the high here? We got to 108,388, right? We came down quite a bit. We went up to 109,358, and then we saw us go back down, and then now we got to 112,000 recently here. So this does not look to me like a double top. I think this is just a normal correction that we're seeing here right now. Bitcoin basically from the beginning of April here, right around April 7th, where it bottomed out, it went up approximately 50%, right? Having such a nice run up here, you're going to get a little bit of correction, a little bit of pullback. Some accumulation time here happening right now. And that's all this is. There's still just too many good news stories and adoption happening with Bitcoin, along with companies buying it, states buying it, countries buying it. You know the gist, right? So all of that is still happening. I still think this is just a little correction that we're seeing here right now. That's probably overdue and well needed. So eventually, I think in June, once we get into June, which is going to be on Sunday, I think next week might be a little volatile. But after that, I think we're going to start popping back up here. That's just my take on it. But you guys can let me know what you guys think. And right now on the poll, in the comments, you guys are saying, 67% of you guys are saying that this is not a double top. So you're kind of in the same boat as I am right now. I just don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're still going up much higher. 112, I just do not see this being as the top for Bitcoin. Not yet. I think we still have a long ways to go. Okay. So looking at Bitcoin for the month of May currently, we can see that Bitcoin's up 10.39%. We thought we were going to have a better month, but this week definitely did not play out the way we thought it was going to do. So we're down a little bit from where we were, but we're still up 10.39%. For the quarter, we're still up 25.93%. So it's been actually a pretty good quarter here for us, as it is. Yesterday, we had some Bitcoin ETF outflows, actually, quite a bit of them. Fidelity sold a bunch, 166 million, and the others sold as well quite a bit. Even though BlackRock, IBIT bought in 125 million, everybody else that was selling had a negative number on that one, 346 million negative. And today we're at negative 185 million, but we're still waiting on to see what happened with BlackRock. Did they continue to buy in on their streak of nothing but buys here? We'll see if that continues here. We'll probably take a look at this on maybe on Sunday or Monday whenever we get back to the swing of things. All right, but that's just what we got here. Only good story that we do have here right now, and I was trying to find some good stories. I think things are just kind of quieting down a little bit with all the news. I'm sure I have the stuff that I missed here, but I didn't dive too deep into it. But this is the only one that I could find relatively quickly here. So the Texas Strategic Bitcoin Reserve is officially on its way to the governor's desk. This is from Dennis Porter. Governor Abbott said he will sign it. So we could see this happening over the weekend or sometime early next week. This is going to be great. Texas is going to be buying Bitcoin to put it on their balance sheet. So like I said, adoption is happening one way or another. It's going to continue to happen. More and more companies buying it, so on and so on. So this is great news here for us. And it's just one of probably many things that are happening that are positive for Bitcoin in general. We had a lot of news stories coming out this week for a lot of positive news. And we got a little bit of low here on Friday. I think maybe we had a lot of people that were at the Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas. I think people are maybe traveling, so there's no stuff being posted here right now about all this stuff here. Okay, so there's that. And then let's talk about the miners here. So I put that on the thumbnail as well, that the miners have not really received any substantial HPC deals other than Core Scientific with CoreWeave and Galaxy with CoreWeave, and then TeraWulf with Core 42, right? A lot of the miners do have their own HPC units that they're leasing out or, not leasing out. Well, you could say leasing out, I guess. To smaller customers, they're making some revenue there, right? Hive is making about 20-some million a year from their efforts there. IREN is making about 28 million a year on their efforts, what they have right now. But it's nothing in the billions like we've seen with Core Scientific and Galaxy getting from CoreWeave here. And here's another example of CoreWeave going with somebody else that's not the typical Bitcoin miner here. So Blue Owl-led JV secures $750 million to build out data center for CoreWeave. Companies to use the funds to build out CTP campus in Chesterfield, Virginia. And this is kind of interesting there. This, this is what kind of has me still on the fence about the miners getting a substantial deal with somebody like a hyperscaler for the sites that they have right now. I'm still on the fence and I'm still skeptical, but love to be proven wrong on it. Okay. So right now, a joint venture led by the alternative asset manager Blue Owl has secured more than $750 million to build out data centers for AI cloud firm CoreWeave. Blue Owl Capital managed funds Carissa Technology Parks and Powerhouse Data Centers has this week announced the closing of $750 million transaction for the development partnership. The joint venture was launched in August of last year with the team with the aim of deploying up to $5 billion of capital for turnkey AI HPC data center developments, supporting CoreWeave and other hyperscalers and enterprise data customers. Interesting, right? Other hyperscalers. So when you think of hyperscalers, Google Amazon, Meta, Oracle, Apple as well, probably in there. Who else am I missing? Microsoft, I think, right? And so those are the ones that we think of hyperscalers typically. Let's see here. Construction under the program at CTP's 350-acre campus in Chesterfield, Virginia, started in 2024 for an initial 120 megawatts of new capacity, with delivery scheduled in 2025, so this year, and 2026. The new capacity, which uses CTP's proprietary direct-on-chip liquid cooling design, will serve CoreWeave, right? So they have something there that obviously at least CoreWeave likes, and maybe the hyperscalers there as well. The company's previously secured $600 million construction loan for the campus development from Societe Generale SA. Let's see. This next stage of partnership between Blue Owl and CTP and Powerhouse represents another groundbreaking transaction focused on rapidly delivering large-scale capacity for AI ecosystems, said Lee Hayes, president and CEO of CTP. Yeah, I mean, if they're able to do that in 2025 and 26, starting out last year, that's actually pretty good. Owned by Carissa Investments, Carissa Technology Parks was established in late 2022. The first 28 megawatt building of the company's Chesterfield campus, known as CTP1, was recently leased to CoreWeave. So there's one already being leased to them. The company owns sites across Virginia, Illinois, Washington, New Jersey. It says it currently offers more than 500,000 square feet of data center capacity, with a pipeline of more than 400 megawatts under development. And then a wholly owned division of American Real Estate Partners, Powerhouse, has 30 data centers currently in planning or underway, representing more than 2.3 gigawatts of power across Virginia, Texas, Nevada, and North Carolina. So these guys like Powerhouse and Real Estate Partners or American Real Estate Partners have maybe something more to offer than the miners themselves, right? Maybe expertise, knowledge, experience in this, and maybe that's why we're seeing companies go with those guys instead of the miners. I don't know. Also, the miners have typically much larger sites, right? IREN has a site that's almost 2 gigawatts or is 2 gigawatts. Not sure what's going to happen there with that. I think personally, I think that's maybe too big for one hyperscaler to grab, but it might be a possibility for multiple to get in there, maybe. I don't know. We shall see on it, okay? Let's see, what else do we have here? I think that was it that I wanted to talk about. So let's see here. Blue Owl has approximately $192 billion in assets under management. The company recently closed $7 billion digital infrastructure fund. It also recently acquired IPI Partners, taking over Stack Infrastructure and U.S. regional edge firm Radius DC. All right, so this is another pivotal milestone of our $5 billion strategic partnership with CTP and Powerhouse, said Mark Czar, global head of real estate at Blue Owl. With the closing of the second $750 million tranche, we're delivering on our vision to create foundational infrastructure for the next generation of AI native cloud companies like CoreWeave. Okay. Excuse me about my sniffles. Allergies are kicking in again. So again, like I said, I'd love to see the miners get a nice HPCI deal with somebody for the sites that they do have, or a portion of the sites that they have. And I'm still waiting on it. I'm optimistic that they might, but I'm pessimistic that they might not because of what we're seeing here. Kind of in the middle, I guess. I'm on the fence. Like I said, I'm on the fence. I'd love to see them get something, but I don't know if they will. All right. That is all I got for you guys there as far as news is concerned and HPCI stuff that's going on here on it. But this is definitely interesting nonetheless. And let's take a look at the miners here, stock performance-wise in May. We look at these every once in a while here. I'm not going to go through these because we kind of we went over them, I think, last week. So I'm not going to really go over them. I've updated these, so these will be available to the Patreon members there. If you want to join, the link is down in the description. But here's how I want to take a look at May numbers here. How do the miners do compared to Bitcoin? Well, it's half and half. So half did better than Bitcoin and half did at least worse. All right. So IREN was up 37% for the month of May here. BitDeer was up 34%. Core was up 31%. HUT was up 24%. Riot up 11%. And Bitcoin is up, at least right now, up 10% as of about an hour ago, right? We still have one more day of trading for Bitcoin. We'll see where it ends up in May. But as of right now, it's kind of where we're standing at. So we did have IREN, BitDeer, and Core at least outperformed by almost 4 to 3x on what Bitcoin did this month. And then we had, obviously, Cypher, Hive, Cleanspark, Marathon, and Bitfarms. Bitfarms actually being down 8%. Kind of performed more or less how Bitcoin did, slightly lower, but nothing major there. Okay, so that is it. So it was actually a pretty good month for the miners, all things considered. There's a lot of bears out there on the miners here recently. No, maybe not recently, but for at least probably I would say since last year. But then again, last year, we just went through the halving event. It's not like we can expect them to go up 400x or 400%, 4x, 10x, whatever it might be after the halving event. We've known that this is not going to be the case here. So I'm still optimistic that they will do well going forward here into the end of the year, where typically they have done pretty good. But right now they have definitely underperformed from what we would expect. Things are looking a little bit better here since the Trump tariffs on these guys here, but still underperforming Bitcoin as it is. And depending when you got into it, Bitcoin has outperformed the miners here in general. So if you look at it from beginning of the bull run or the end of the bear market, basically from the end of December 2022 and January 2023, the only one that's outperformed here, Bitcoin, is IREN. Bitcoin's up 527%. Miners are still below Bitcoin there. Other time frames as well, you can see that playing out as well. So depending when you got into these guys, you might be still pretty good or you might be actually pretty bad. All right, sorry about my sniffles again. Allergies are starting to kick in for me. I was mowing the lawn today. But that's it. That's all I got for you guys. So pretty nice and short, sweet live stream today. Let's get into your guys' Q&A, see if you guys have any questions. And based on our poll here, we're still looking at 68% of you do not think we have hit a double top, and that's it. So that's kind of good there as well. All right, let's get into Q&A here, see what we got going on here on that one. And let me go over to questions here. And if you guys could preface a question with a question mark or a Q, I'd appreciate it here. And let me scroll up a little bit, and I'll work my way down as always. Let me see here. Okay, Neville says, can you post a chart of BTC and M2? I think we are following it to a T. Yeah, I think we had a little bit dip in the M2 here. Let me see if I can pull this up as well. Let me see if I can find Bitcoin M2 supply or a Bitcoin M2 chart. Bitcoin M2 chart. Insights and trends. Bitcoin counter. Wow, really. Where are we at here? This is M2 supply. I'm looking at the chart right now. This is the one I want. This is year over year. I want to see the future chart here a little bit. That's not the one I was looking for. Global M2 versus Bitcoin. Let's see if this will work. That doesn't really show it either. Not the way I want to show it to you guys. Let's see. Let's try this one. Bear with me. I'm looking at all these charts. That doesn't really show it either. I probably should have looked on. Here we go. I think this might be it. This might be a little old though. Let me see, when was this posted? This was posted a week ago. Okay, so it's pretty close. All right, here it is. All right, so you can see that we are like right about here right now, and we had M2 supply go down, right, which is kind of what we're following here. So maybe this is playing out quite nicely here, and then we go back up, right, and maybe come back down here. So something to think about. But yeah, it's definitely following very, very closely to the M2 supply here. And then, you know, we could go definitely much higher here as time progresses as well. Okay. Let's go back to here. All right. B-side says, you are not bullish enough on which thing? Bitcoin miners or HBCI? All right. Question, isn't Tether a big investor in BitDeer? With Tether investing in BTC mining on their own, they may be dumping BitDeer. Oh, good question there. I think you're right. I think Tether did invest in BitDeer. So maybe they're going to be buying the miners from them, right? Maybe, I don't know. Let's see. Neville says, bought some more IREN and Cleanspark. Those will be my final investments, as I think the train will leave the station in June. Okay. That would be great. I would love to see that happen as well. Ambition82 says, I've bought Hive and Bitfarms today and added September calls in the Cleanspark. Nice. Boy, you guys are buying the dip. I love it. I was thinking about it today, but I'm still low on cash. So I'm like, I'm going to wait another week or two, get my cash position up a little bit higher from where it's at, and I'm going to start buying. Let's see. B-side says, Cleanspark all in. They don't give a crap about HBCAI. Yep. I mean, they're just a pure Bitcoin miner there. B82's got another question. With all the increased buying for reserves and company treasury, will this tend to limit the wide swings up and down for BTC? Maybe that this, well, I think it'll, depending on what do you mean, swings, wide swings. Bitcoin, I think, can go, 40,000 up, 50,000 up, and then we could have a pullback of 10, 20,000, something like that. So I think the swings are different this time around. We've already seen it already. I've talked about this many times already, where this cycle we're seeing, Bitcoin does go up, and then it comes basically sideways down for about 4 or 5 months, down 30%, corrects, whereas last cycles, Bitcoin corrected within 5 to 10 days, usually down 30, 35, 38%, whatever it was, and then it would continue to go back up. So in that sense, it's already different. With that being said, with all the adoption that we're seeing here, I think this is going to play out differently. It's already playing out differently, but I think it's going to play out longer. So we could be having these kind of 2 steps forwards, 1 step backwards a little bit, or we could be actually like 4 steps forward, 1 step back, right? With the way that we're seeing things play out right now. And I think that's a good thing. It's definitely going to be less percentage gains on Bitcoin, I think, going forward, but it's going to be higher value, right? That makes sense. B says, got a question. If you had to choose a replacement for either Cleanspark, IREN, or Cypher, which one would you choose? If I had to choose a replacement for either, so which one would I replace, and who would I put in there? I mean, those are all great companies. Cypher's got a lot of growth here happening. I don't know if I would change anything. That's not an easy question to answer. Cleanspark has its benefits. Obviously, IREN has its benefits. Cypher has also its benefits. I may add into it maybe Mara. That's the only one that I would maybe add into it right now. Let's see. BA2 says, so the way this reads, the Blue Owl funds could be used to build out similar to the deal with CORZ. Build out how similar to the deal with CORZ? Well, they could get it with CoreWeave, right? The deal that they have there, they could build out similar to that, yeah. Let's see, does Seb ever talk about Wolf anymore? Yeah, we talked about like 2 weeks ago when they reported their quarterly results and them buying out like a week ago when they bought out Beowulf. We talked about that as well. But they don't provide much updates anymore, so I don't really track them as much as I did with the other ones. Plus, they're not in my sheets anymore because they don't provide the monthly updates. B-Side says, I was thinking of selling some of my MicroStrategy profit to invest in ABTC with Eric Trump. Are you bullish on Eric Trump's philosophy? I don't know his philosophy in general, what it is, but I think they want to make as much money as possible. So the other part of it is they own 20% of the joint venture. Their Hut 8 owns 80% of the rest of it. And when they merge with Griffin's going to get 2% of it, right? So it's going to get a little bit diluted. And do we know when they're going public yet or when that is happening? I don't think we know yet, right? I think they're trying to get this done in Q2 or Q3. I think Q3 is when they're trying to get this done. So there's still ways to go. Excuse me, I think we need to see the prospectus on it, if we're going to get a prospectus on it even. But I'd like to see what that is, number of shares, who gets what shares, so forth, so on, what's the structure like and things like that. So I'm not touching it just yet, but it should be good for them. The only thing that I have that's questionable on there is with American BTC using Hut 8 as their sole provider for basically hosting infrastructure, things like that. I'm sure Hut 8 is going to want to make money on that as well, so they're going to be paying a little bit more to mine the Bitcoin there. Kind of like other companies that have hosted with other companies as well have paid more for that hosting there. So that's the only questionable thing that I have on them right now. And how fast can Hut 8 actually build out what they need? All right, Sean's got a question here. If everyone keeps buying Bitcoin at this rate, is that bad for the miners because they can't mine blocks due to the big players removing Bitcoin off exchanges, or that will not affect anything? That doesn't affect the miners. The miners get the blocks and the Bitcoins from basically the Bitcoin protocol. So the Bitcoin protocol has 21 million Bitcoin that's in there. That's going to be basically given out to the miners. We're at 19 million something right now Bitcoin mined so far out of that, I guess you could say, reserves. And then we have another 100 and some odd years, 120 more years of mining where we're going to pull from that reserve that's got 1 million something left in there, I think. So it's going to take a while for that to be used up. So it doesn't really affect the miners there. The good thing is that it does affect the miners as far as revenue is concerned, right? Bitcoin price going up, the revenues make more money. Question, do you think Kai Trump should get more involved as a Bitcoiner? Her father is very optimistic, and I think she should get more involved. She has a good network. That's the niece, right? I don't follow Kai, so I don't know. Right. Yeah, but I mean, if she wants to get involved, definitely. Question, Gen Z, is Kai Trump as Bitcoiner? Maybe, I don't know. Dynamite Uber here. The most hyperscalers have went with real estate companies so far, like Iron Mountain. No chance they would go. They would go with a BTC miner. Not a good sign. Okay, kind of my thoughts a little bit there too as well. Yeah. Also, Equinox and Data Reality Trust. Yep. Why are you so confident HPCI demand isn't growing? I'm not saying it's not growing. I'm saying that what we're seeing here, at least from up to date, up to right now, is not much interest from the hyperscalers and the miners. They might change though. They might be in the background that we don't see it. But there might be something that's not of an appetite for them. I don't know. Experts in the space are confident demand will soar. Yeah. Aren't you sure? Won't. I think it will. I think it will continue to soar. But eventually, you're going to get to a certain point, and the miners, the hyperscalers already have so many data centers that they could, retrofit. I mean, Google came out with their latest Gemini 2.5. That AI model there is fantastic. It's unbelievable, actually, what you can do with it, and that's based on the current infrastructure that they have, right? So how much more do they actually need? Yes, we're going to have more and more of this stuff, but it's going to be, at least from what I'm seeing here right now, the demand's going to be there, but how much more of a demand is there going to be? And how much do you need more infrastructure to support that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I did notice one time I was doing a query on Gemini, and it said, please wait, services are overwhelmed, or services are something overwhelmed or something like that, to wait a minute and try again. All right, so I did see that once. So yes, I could see that we do need more demand, or we need more infrastructure a little bit more, or at least Google does. But Google also is doing their own thing with the, TPUs, tensor processing units, which they say are really good for language models and things like that, where they don't use GPUs, but they also do use GPUs from NVIDIA. Right, but they also have two things. But again, like I said, these guys already have a lot of data centers. They can expand the data centers that they have. They can swap things out as needed, right? But power is going to be the big thing for them as well. But they're going to go. But can the miners benefit from it? I don't know. That's the part that I don't know. I'd like to see the miners benefit from it because it would be great, because I own IREN, which has definitely got 2 gigawatts of space for the hyperscalers. And I would love nothing more than them to get an HPCI deal. Okay? Let's see. Ron says, hey Seb, hope you're well. I am, thanks. Do you know why miners don't follow Bitcoin 101? I.e. last time Bitcoin was 108,000, miners were much higher. Sometimes the miners do, sometimes the miners don't. Sometimes the miners front run Bitcoin. We've seen that a little bit here. We could see that kind of a little bit with some of the miners that for May, right? When we looked at that data on the miners here in May, there was about half that outperformed and half that didn't do so well. So you can see that here on this screen here, right? This is May percentage gains. Here we got IREN, BitDeer, Core, and HUT8 outperforming Bitcoin quite nicely, while some of the other ones didn't do that. So you get these kind of weird dynamics every once in a while, where some of the miners will outperform, they'll run like crazy, and some won't, and then you'll have that switch around again. And I mean, could it be the market players, market makers, doing their thing, going long on certain things for a while and then shorting them and going along on something else? Could be a part of that as well. It has definitely been a lot different from other cycles that I've been a part of, at least. Let's go back here. B-Side says, I want Kai Trump to be bullish on Bitcoin. She might be already. Let's see. Has Riot been selling shares, or did they only get diluted and are still holding on? Riot is selling. They put that 13F filing, whatever it was, that, who was it, Citigroup? I think Citigroup is the one that's selling the shares on their behalf there. So I think we're going to have some sell pressure on Bitfarms for the next couple of weeks, or maybe even months, depending on when they pull on the trigger there. You would think that they would wait until the stock goes up a little bit to start selling, but who knows there, right? We'll see. We'll find out more. Jay Balish asks, is Core 42 a big player? They are, they're funded, I think, by Abu Dhabi there, with the wealth fund there. I think they're funded by that a little bit there through another fund. Can't remember it, but I don't know if I would call them a big player. I think they're okay player there, but not like a big like CoreWeave or like Microsoft. Obviously, those guys here. Core 42 is a smaller player than that, I would guess. Rusty says Jason Les needs a paycheck having. Well, him not being the only one, I think. I think quite a few of these CEOs could use a paycheck having. Ron has got a question. Do you think we'll still see another alt season again? If so, when? Alt season, I don't know. Just look at where Bitcoin is right now and look at where Ethereum is at right now, right? Some of the other alts that get pumped or something like that might do pretty well. But in general, I think Bitcoin is going to continue to take the market share of the crypto ecosystem like it has currently. What's it at? 63, 64% right now, market share right now. So I don't know if we're going to have another alt season. If Bitcoin goes up nicely, we'll see an alt season. But is it going to be like the ones of the past that we've seen? Probably not. Yellow Gambler, when is the next Riot report Riot has to provide generating how much of Bitfarms shares they still own versus how much they sold debt? I don't know. I don't know what the requirement is on that. But they did provide a report that they're selling all 90 some odd million shares through Citigroup, I think it was. So maybe that suffices. Maybe that's all they needed to provide. Okay, let's see. Sarah says, B-side, it sounds like you have a crush on a 17-year-old. It does kind of sound like it. I guess she's got a pretty good following there, though. Okay, let's see. All right, Dynamite Tuber. Miners underperforming and alts also underperforming. This cycle is way different from previous cycles. Yeah. Let's see. B-side says because it's Trump, it's dump that Eric and Donald Jr. are in with American BTC, but we don't hear anything about Kai. No. Yeah, she's still young, right? She's got a whole future ahead of her. She's in a nice family. It's got a lot of money. I'm sure she'll be fine with whatever she decides to do. Let's see what else we got. Ronnie question. Do you also invest in a fiat or are you all in Bitcoin? And in fiat. I don't invest in like currencies or anything like that other than Bitcoin, and I do have some altcoins there that I got in from last cycles that I want to get rid of anyways. So I'm hoping that they at least go up. But yeah, mostly in Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners right now. I still have some shares in Rivian as it is. And then I'd love to get into like SpaceX, but SpaceX is still a private company. You can't get into it. You can probably get into it through another fund or something like that, maybe. But love to get into that. Love to get into like some more quantum computing or something like that. There's a bunch of stuff that's, the next generation, future things that are happening for us, and those things I think will do very well as well. Let's see. Joseph says, so Riot will take a 90 million loss on Bitfarms. Looks like it, right? Unless they have something with Citigroup to not sell at too much of a loss. I don't know what the deal there is. We can only speculate. But yeah, based on what they're selling right now, it looks like they're going to have 90 million plus, maybe 100 million loss on it. Okay. Let's see here. BTC is not really dumping. We're not in a bear market yet. We're only down from the top. If we look at it here, let's go to the screen here. I'll show you guys. From the top, what are we down? 10%? Something like that? If that. Top to here, what do we? We went down to, there we go. We are down approximately 7.7%. So this is nothing out of the ordinary. We could be just, testing this support here, and then we're going to bounce again. I'm not too worried. If we get down to like 80-some thousand, I'm going to start getting worried then at that point. But I think right now, even at that point, I think we would 30% correction. If we had like a 35, 40% correction, which would bring us down all the way down to, a 40% correction from the top. would be right around there, 66,000. Okay, at that point, I started getting worried if we're at 38%, 68,000. Yeah, I don't see us going down that low. Anything that's within like 30% correction, so 30% correction would be down to 77,000. I think that's still within range of what we've seen here before with Bitcoin going up. But definitely would like to go up more, like 250,000 here, right? Go up to 150,000 and then have a 30% correction. Let me see if I can squeeze this in here. 150,000 is there. So if we went from 150,000 roughly and had a 30% correction, that would bring us back down to where we are right now, about 107, 106. So that would be a 30% correction on that one, like we've seen in the past. We've seen those many, many, many times before. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. Let's see, Sean, I have several thousand shares of Riot. I'm just patiently waiting, but I hope the stock doesn't drop because of them selling shares. It might drop a little bit, but it's still, they should be still in the positive as far as FSB for Bitcoin HODL and everything else. We can look at that. Why don't we look at that? I have that number as well, but it's still not fully done with because we need May numbers. We also need June numbers. But we can look at the FSB. Where's it at? Impact so far in the miners. This was something I was working on. Where's it at? There it is. Okay. Take a look at this. Let's see screen. Excuse me. So this is just including April, what they either added to their HODL position or actually sold off from their HODL position for all these miners, right? So if they sold off on it, they got a 0 for April FSB impact. May, we don't know yet. Obviously, June, we don't know yet. And also Bitcoin here at 109,000 is down to 106, whatever it is, 103,000. So it's off by a little bit. And let me see if I can, we can maybe do 103,000 here, 103, 1, 2, 3. Let's just do that. What is that impact on the guys here right now? So move that down. Okay, so Marathon right now is up approximately 991 million, so almost $1 billion on gains just on Bitcoin from the start of Q2 to where we are right now, at least. Riot is up 396 million, so if they take a hit of 96 million on selling Bitfarms shares, probably not a big hit there, but you know, it is what it is. Cleanspark's up 248 million. Hut is up 211 million right now. And that's, like I said, not counting for May or June numbers that we're going to get from them, what they added on to their Bitcoins as well at that point. So things are still looking pretty good for these guys here overall, right? Bitcoin being up in the green, this all bodes well. Maybe we'll update this once we have the main numbers for these guys, see where things are at that point as well, just to see if we can keep track of these guys. And yeah, I think that's it. So we have the total impact of FSB on these. And see where they are. So they're still okay, right? So like going back to Riot, I'm rambling on here, but going back to Riot, it's going to have a small impact, but not a major impact, I think. And in the long run, I think might be even good for them, right? And I think it's also this is being done mainly because I think the activist investors are pushing it, to be done and over with, to get this out of the way, so that way they can concentrate on their HPCI initiatives that they want to go for. All right, that's just my take on it. Could be wrong, but that's just kind of what I'm thinking. Let me see here. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Okay, here we go. Question: Bitfarms is the only one down is in negative this month. Should we be worried? Well, I think it's mainly because we might have the selling pressure from Riot, right? Selling the shares there through, I think it's Citigroup. So I think that's the reason for it. I don't see other reason why it would be actually down other than that. That's the only thing I can think of right now. I haven't heard anything else that's been bad news for, the electricity thing, right? In, was it Argentina, I think? That's the only bad news that I've heard here recently. That's 12% of their overall hash rate that's offline, or at least was offline. I don't know if it's still online or if it's still offline. If they got resolved or not. So maybe we'll get an update when they provide. Well, that's if they provide May update, right? They said they may not provide that. So we'll find out on Monday, I guess, if they provide it or not. Because typically they would have provided it on Monday, the very first day of business in a new month. So we'll find that out. So that might be a reason for it as well. Okay, let's see. Joseph says, Riot sold all April production at 80,000, so another 10 to 15 $1 million down the drain on that one. Yeah. Yep. But what? I'm trying to remember what they sell. There was a reason for why they sold it, I think. I think they were, what did they say? That they were expecting to make more than they did and they pre-sold it or something. I don't know. But yeah, they sold it at that point, but they still have a lot of HODL there. Gary's got a question here. Do you still feel Mara will beat their 83 high from last cycle, or do you think this is out of reach for this cycle? Oh gosh, yeah, it's tougher and tougher for me to think that they could possibly get up to that point, right? Only because the miners have not been performing as anywhere near what they did last cycle. Now that could change in the next 6 months, and they could pop like crazy, get the shorts off their backs, all that stuff, and then maybe they could pop at that point. I don't know. But it's tough. I'd be happy if they go to half of what their last, last cycle peaks were. So for Mara, it'd be like 40 some odd dollars. Riot would be, what was it, like $35 would be like half of where they got to, I think. So some other ones. I'd be happy with that, I think, if we could still get that. CB says, got a question here. I cannot have a crush on Kaya. I think she is great and she would be fine voice for Bitcoin for Gen Z. Maybe, yeah. Question, do you have a good Bitcoin movie recommendation to watch? What's this guy? Russ Ulbricht movie was good. That was all on, all about, gosh, Silk Road, right? That was really good. I really enjoyed that one. I'm trying to think of another one that was really good. Who was the other one? Oh gosh, there was another one that was really good. Which one am I thinking of? I'll have to think about it. There's at least 2 or 3 movies that I thought were really good. That came out on Bitcoin. It was maybe not on Bitcoin in a positive light, but it was on Bitcoin in general. Gosh, what was the other one? I'll have to think about that one and get back to you one of these days. Okay. Gary's question, I think your bias towards HODL miners is showing again. You showed graphs of HODL gains in Q4. They vanished in Q1 and all of a sudden are back. Why does FSB only matter if it's positive? It doesn't matter when it's positive. I talked about this also when the miners we're looking at the FSB rules before the miners reported their Q1 numbers. I showed that they were going to be in the negative at that point. So I show them both times. I don't just show it in positive light. I show it when there's also losses on the books for it. And we saw that, I don't have it on this one because I updated this one. This one is the same sheet that I used for Q1. Maybe I should keep it separate, and that way we can see the difference that's happening there. But got close to a lot of these guys. Mara obviously got pretty close to what they reported as far as their loss. Cleanspark, same thing. I was off a little bit on Riot, I think. But yeah, I showed the negative side of things as well on the FSB. It's just not this one. Okay. All right. Sadie, thank you so much for the thumbs up. Sean here, Mara and Riot are garbage companies. Honestly, at this point, there are only a few miners worth investing in. Fred and Jason are robbing retail investors blind. They're not the only ones, right? Some companies are maybe a little bit less so than others, but yeah, it's, you and I, if we had a company that was private, we could not get away with some of the stuff that these guys are doing. We wouldn't be in business. We'd be out of business. We'd be bankrupt. So, yeah. Okay, let's see. Mortem says, last year we had a 7-month BTC consolidation. This is looking like that again, maybe over next month. Well, we had a correction here from January through basically April, I guess you could say, right? Beginning of April. So that was 3 months or so. 3 to 4 months roughly that we had a correction here. Last time it was, I think, 5 months, that last year at least. I thought it was 5 months. Let me see, where's it at here? There's Bitcoin. Do that. Let's go on the weekly here. There's the halving event. Okay. So let's see here. If we look at the chart, we peaked at 73,000 here. This was back in March, right? And then we corrected basically, I guess you could say, from here, from March 11th to where we bottomed out was September. So yeah, let me see, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Yeah, it's like 7 months. You're right. Yeah. From top here. Yeah, so it was a correction for 7 months. We corrected here, we went up, we corrected, we went up, we corrected again. It was definitely a longer time frame of correction for a 30% drawdown on it. Whereas before, right, I've talked about this as well before, where we had these corrections here. Look at this cycle here. You had a correction here that was basically 2 weeks. You had a correction here that was 1 week that was like 30, well, this one shows 21%, but towards the bottom it was like 30-something%. We had another correction here that was 2 weeks, and that was basically it, right? We went down and corrected here with the double top and then had corrections, but the corrections lasted, a week to 2 weeks at most. And you can see the same thing in the prior cycles as well. When we were going up, we would correct for a week or two, maybe 3 at tops, and then we would continue to go up. We are definitely in a different world, in a different cycle, in a different multiverse, I guess you could say, with Bitcoin this time around. Retail is definitely acting, or retail. Institutions are definitely driving this ship much more than retail is this time around. And they're going for much longer time frames, longer spans of going up, and also longer spans of going down as well. So yeah, yep, it is way different. All right. Now what else do we... All right, talked about that one. Sean, appreciate that. Totally agree with Seb. It's tough. It is tough, yeah. Triad says Mara plus Riot equals new AMD advanced money destroyer, in my opinion. Okay. Ron had a question. I really like your insights, charts, visuals, data, etc. Well, thank you very much, which is really easy to understand and follow. Thank you for always delivering. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming in, as always, you guys. And then Dynamite, enjoy your vacation, Seb. Hopefully when you're back, the miners will do better, huh? I hope so, too. S says August 11th, 282,000 Bitcoin. Gosh, I'd love to see that. But yeah, as you guys know, I'll be on vacation later on this week through basically for the next 2 weeks, you could say. But I will be trying to do a live stream from my vacation if the connection for the internet is good enough. If it's not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide you guys with a daily video on the updates on the miners as far as what's going on with them as they provide the production updates for May. We'll cover that, and then what we'll do is probably like a video premiere. So when that video premiere airs, I'll join on with you guys in the comments, and we can discuss and chat about things there. It won't be live, but at least I'll be in the chat with you guys at that point. So that is it. I will see you guys from my vacation probably. So wish me a happy flight. I hate flying. Don't like flying. To be honest, I'm scared of flying. I know, as silly as it sounds, I'm scared of flying. I just don't have the control over it. That's my biggest thing, is not having the control. But I will be fine. I'll manage it. I'm a big boy. I can take it. And I'll fly over there. But you guys will see me probably on Monday, I'm guessing, because Sunday's going to be a crazy day. So I'll see you guys then. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And I wish you guys a great June. Hopefully it's going to be a prosperous one, not only in Bitcoin, but in Bitcoin miners as well. All right? Love you all. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys in a different time zone, I guess. I'll see you then. Bye.